Hello. A little while ago, I did a video on this channel about faith. And if you haven't watched it, just to review a couple of points I made, I suggested that everyone exercises faith, including atheists, because faith is trusting in the evidence that comes from other people that we haven't been able to verify for ourselves. And that faith is also a motivating force to action because we do things based on the fact that we believe that we will get a certain result for doing a certain action. So when you put faith in this manner, you can readily see that everyone is exercising faith in some way, and that when we exercise faith in something that's true, and we get the results that we thought we would get when we did the action, our faith is confirmed and faith will turn to knowledge. So in other words, we don't have to rely on faith forever because faith can become knowledge. So with that, I want to continue on this line of discussion by talking about the idea of belief. But I want to talk about the dark side of belief. Belief is something that is, again, motivating our actions. The idea of belief for me is the idea of being and living. So a belief is not just an opinion we hold or something we profess with our intellect. A belief is something that is actually influencing the way we are and the way we choose to act in this world. So to separate the difference between what I'm talking about as a belief and an opinion, I want to refer back to my experience as a natural healer. I can verbally say, I think sugar is bad for you, or we shouldn't be eating junk food, or I should be exercising. Exercise is good for you. But if I don't actually believe that, if it's just an opinion, I can choose to do it or not. I can choose to avoid the sugar or avoid the junk food and do the exercise and so forth. The thoughts in our head do not control our behavior. Thoughts do not become action until they are married to emotions. And when a thought becomes married to strong emotions that motivate us to do something about it, it becomes a belief. And our beliefs are what are governing the way we live. This is one of the first things I uncovered when I was trying to do emotional healing work. It was something I understood in myself, that if I have a belief and that belief is false, but I'm not aware of it as a belief, it's just something operating inside of me, I will continue to behave in a way that is dysfunctional, that's causing harm to my body, harm to other people, not getting me the relationships I want, not proving to be something that's useful and valuable in my life. And I learned in communication when I was going to college way back in the day that we all have something called selective attention, selective perception, and selective retention. So what that means is if I have a belief, I will tend to pay attention to information that reinforces my belief. I will tend to interpret what I'm hearing in light of my belief, and I will tend to retain what conforms to my belief, and I will tend to not pay attention to what doesn't conform to my beliefs, twist and misinterpret information that doesn't conform with my beliefs, and I will tend to forget information that doesn't conform with my beliefs. And this is called in psychology confirmation bias, that we're biased towards looking for things that make us right, because there's kind of this human ego need that I need to be right. I need to be correct. And if someone else has a different opinion from me, I need to make them wrong so that I can be right. Now, I like what Wayne Dyer says about that. I can choose to be right or I can choose to be loving. But coming back to the idea of belief, what we have operating in we might call it our subconscious, but I prefer to think of it as our heart, because our heart has kind of a brain, a way of thinking about life that's nonverbal. But most of what we do, we're doing because it comes from our heart. We desire it. We feel a passion for it. We're either acting out of negative emotions like fear and anger and so forth, which are causing us to not do things or avoid doing things or maybe even doing things that are destructive, versus positive emotions that are motivating us to do things maybe that are kind or good or so forth. But whatever, these emotions are driving our behavior, and these emotions are connected to ideas or thoughts. So to come back to the example I had, okay, I can say, I know intellectually that exercise is good for me, but then I can have emotions stemming from the fact that when I was young, I was not very coordinated. I was not good at sports. So going to PE classes and not being able to do what other kids could do and feeling embarrassed and frustrated and whatever, those emotions get coupled to a belief, I'm not good at this, I can't do this very well. And that makes it difficult for me to actually go and do the exercising, because emotionally I don't want to, even though I may think this is good for me. So this is something, an example from me personally in my own life. I've had to work on those issues about exercising and so forth in order to find ways that I can do things as physical activity that I enjoy, that are going to be pleasurable, that are going to link the idea of physical activity to positive emotions, positive feelings, and so forth, so that I'm motivated to do this. So what I call emotional healing is largely a process of changing beliefs. It is being able to identify things that we believe that are inhibiting us from being healthy, being happy, being successful, having good relationships, etc., and that are instead motivating us to do things that are bringing pain, suffering, ill health, and so forth. So I'm going to be doing more videos, obviously addressing this idea, but I want to talk about several things that are just basic things that we can do to start filtering out the good beliefs, the productive beliefs, what the useful beliefs, from the false, negative, and bad beliefs that are acting within us to cause us not to get the results that we want. And the first one, of course, is our rational mind. And the simple thing that we have to ask ourselves is what I am doing working? Is it bringing me the results I want in my life? And I'm going to use an illustration from my own life, and from someone I heard at a group I used to go to, a spiritual group. He said, when you get married and divorced the first time, you can blame it on your spouse. It's their fault. You do it the second time, you can kind of blame it on your spouse. He says the third time, you have to wonder if there's something wrong with you. And having been married and divorced a couple of times, I realized that was true. I had to realize there must be something wrong with me in terms of the type of partner I'm choosing, what I'm attracted to, what's going on inside of me that needs to change in order for me to get the results I want. So this is one way to approach it. And once you recognize, hey, what I'm currently believing and doing is not working, and then I open my mind to start looking for other possibilities and start, testing them by acting on them, which is the exercise of faith, then I can discover how to behave differently, which, by the way, I did. And now I'm married and have the kind of marriage that I've always wanted, that I always dreamed of, because I had to work on myself and my own beliefs and what was, working and motivating me. A second way of looking at this is from what I gather of what we call the law of harvest. Some people call it the law of attraction, but it's the idea that the energy we put out, the seeds we sow, the things that we're doing, are bringing back the crop of the results that we're experiencing in our lives. So that, there's a logical part to that, but I also want to explain there's an emotional part to that. Things that we're doing that are attached to what we would call negative emotions. Negative emotions are like pain. They're telling us that something is wrong. If we're acting out of fear, then we're sowing fear into the world, and we will reap a crop of things that will continue to reinforce our fear. If we're doing things in anger, the same thing will happen. If we're doing things in out of sadness and desperation and longing and this emptiness that we're trying to go out and search for something to fill this emptiness, whatever emotions are attached to our reasons for doing things, those emotions are predicting the outcome. A belief that is attached to very negative emotions, unpleasant, unhealthy emotions, is going to reap a non-positive result for us. So what we have to do is and I do this as an exercise for people, is you look at possibilities and you hold out the possibility, I could do this, or I could do this, or I could do this in your mind. And you imagine yourself doing it, and then you notice how you feel. And what I find is that when you are moving in a correct direction, a direction that's going to produce good results in your life for yourself and the other people around you, that you will have a feeling of peace. There will be a feeling of love for yourself and love for others, a feeling of peace. There's a sense that this is the right thing. And so when you're tempted to act on impulse, okay, something happens and you're angry or you're frustrated or you're sad or you're afraid or whatever, and you're going to take action out of that emotional place, most likely the action you take is not going to be constructive. If you can calm down, breathe slowly and deeply, think, say a little prayer, and then wait until you get a calm feeling like, yeah, that's the right way to handle this, and then act, you will get better results and more likely will be able to conform to something that will actually turn out positive in your life. This, by the way, is a basic law of survival. If you suddenly are out, and you get lost in the woods, if you panic and you start acting out of panic, you will make the situation most likely worse. If you sit down, take some deep breaths, calm yourself down, get yourself centered, and wait till you can think clearly and logically and have a sense of peace and calm, and then take action, you're more likely to create actions that will allow you to survive. So this is a basic tool that you can use. And I would add one other thing, that anything that you believe that is causing you to want to harm other people, that's causing you to want to do things that are destructive and negative in the world, is not a good belief. Because again, the law of the harvest, you're sowing things into the world that are only going to reap back to you things that are not going to be things that you want. So it's very important that you look at, is what I'm doing good? Because the desire to do good, the desire to do the right thing, the desire to act with moral and spiritual integrity will help you also to filter out the beliefs that are true and the beliefs that are false. My goal in doing emotional healing work has never been to tell people what to believe. My goal has been to help them look at their beliefs and figure out, is their belief working or is it not working? And then help them restructure their beliefs into something that they feel calm and peaceful about, that they feel a connection to the Creator who loves us all and wants us all to be happy and is more than willing at any time to give us guidance to do that. By surrendering to the good impulse and finding the place of peace to act from, the results that people get in their life change. And once you start acting on good beliefs, on positive beliefs, then you get positive results, and that's reinforcing, and that again turns from faith into knowledge. So thank you for watching this video. I hope it was useful. I will be getting on regularly and teaching more about emotional healing and the spiritual principles that cover it. And until then, have a wonderful day. If you enjoyed this message, hit the like button and share it with other people who may benefit from it. Subscribe to the Heart's Key channel and hit the notification bell to be notified when I post my latest videos.